YouTube, I haven't done hot takes live on Twitch in a while. I usually film these off stream, but here we go. We're doing it live. People are going to spam their favorite emotes like the dancing cat. And the first take is actually from my mod because he says he wants to cook. With consideration to ML7, the push to completely nullify using healers in place of supports is a bit disingenuous, especially when the knowledge of healers have carried over from RPG to RPG. Every use of healer have already covered the basis of what supports are and can do. The name healer doesn't assume that said character just heals. It comes with the territory that they're capable of healing, CC, and buffing. I respect the push in idea, but the names can be used interchangeably. It's up to the player to understand how the heroes function. Okay, I'm just gonna say one thing. You say disingenuous, I say it's not that deep. Like, the real answer is he's just saying that. People understand and they know that's the thing, but some people may take the definition too literal. But I think ML7 always says it in jest. It's a support, not a healer, because you do more than just heal. You have other traits to your role than to just sit back and heal bot. And it is up to the player to figure that out. But he's doing that as like a teaching thing because he's an educational streamer. It's just one of those like things you teach to like your 3rd grade class. Like, remember guys, wash your hands before you eat lunch. Remember guys, it's supports, not healer. And it's not to make ML7 sound like he's teaching a bunch of 3rd graders when he's streaming, but sometimes it does feel like that. ML7, what do I do to climb a support? Remember, wash your hands. Remember, support, not healer. But like, you know, he gets asked the same questions all the time, so that's I don't think it's disingenuous. He's appealing to the audience, and it makes sense. A little bit of semantics. Now we're starting to cook. Hot take, self-healing should not count towards the healing stat on the scoreboard. It's only there to inflate the perceived impact of support heroes who can efficiently self-heal and enable toxic players to belittle others over a stat that can be very deceptive. I don't think this is a hot take at all. Actually, I wouldn't say hot take, but my suggestion for the game is to remove the damage mitigated stat and add a drop-down menu to put a stat that makes sense for you. So as a support, I want to be able to change damage mitigated on the scoreboard, change that one column to healing received so that people can see. You can have my total healing done, and obviously since it includes a bunch of stuff, I want to see how much I've healed my tank, how much I've healed my supports and my other support or my other DPS. That stat makes more sense. But I actually don't agree. I agree with this. I don't think self-healing should count towards it. It is all forms of healing. So in a way, it makes sense, but if we are going that route, have a second one where it says healing received. Thank you. So I know who I'm pumping resources into. The moment the Overwatch team decided to make the game that has the Holy Trinity system, aka tank, DPS, and healer, or support, said healer, they signed themselves up for Q problems forever. I play most RPGs, and anyone that plays games with the Holy Trinity systems can tell you that Qs will always be bad because gamers will always want to play the DPS roles. It is an unfixable problem. A majority of people don't want to have the responsibility tanks have in every game, nor do they want to support or depend on others like you do usually with healers or supports. I think this is a hot take because you say people always want to play DPS. I disagree. I think in a game like Overwatch, everyone wants to play support. I don't know if we have the true stat, and also I realize my music has been playing this whole time, my bad. This may be a hot take, but I'm pretty sure support is the most popular role in this game. If you do have a Holy Trinity system, you might be right where they sign themselves up for Q problems, but that's the best way to achieve a better balance, or else you're gonna run into the, 3 or 4 DPS heroes, 2 supports like it was in Overwatch 1. You trade one problem, which is Q times, for another, which is better matchmaking, because I don't think I can ever go back to locking in 5 DPS, 1 supports. Nobody wants to play tank. That would not make for a fun experience. Yes, Q times may be solved, getting rid of the Holy Trinity, but like the matchmaking quality will feel bad. I mean, I played Marvel Rivals a few days ago. I had a few games where we just had no tanks and we just lost. I think we lost every single one with no tank, no Magneto, no Doctor Strange, no Hulk, nothing. We ran 4 DPS, maybe, and like 2 supports. Or I think we had one game where it was 1 tank, 4 DPS, 1 support, and we also lost that as well. I'm sure there's cases where you can argue that it's winnable, but a game that does require a little bit of everything. Like taking space requires, something from all of the roles, and tanks can soak the most and buy the most time, and I think that role is important. And yeah. Next, hot take, as a support hero, I'm tired of Kiriko. She's so good sometimes, and it feels like I'm throwing if I don't play her. I love Ana, but there are quite a few situations where she doesn't work. Kiriko fits almost every situation and is usually the best option as well. I don't know if I want Kiri to be nerfed or other supports to be buffed, but I do know that I want other heroes to be good choices. That is not a hot take at all. I'm kind of stuck in Kiriko jail as well. These takes aren't hot by any means. Like, these are just like pretty much an agreed sentiment right now at this point. I would say it's less about buffing the other supports and probably nerfing. I know a lot of people say Suzu, but I mentioned that I think Swift Step is a bigger problem than Suzu in a lot of cases. You actually don't necessarily pick Baptiste for his lamp, and I don't want people to pick Kiriko for the Suzu. You pick Kiriko because she's safe. She has mobility, and she can TP, get out of jail free card. At the high ends, like, Kiriko doesn't actually perform that well in low ranks, but in high ranks, the fact that you can take any angle you want and apply pressure with pretty decent kill potential, and then TP out every 7 seconds, removes your antis, removes everything, teleports you across the map, go through 6 walls to save somebody. The Suzu is the secondary part. You can TP to someone and you don't necessarily Suzu. You usually do if they're in trouble, but the fact that you can reach anybody instantly is kind of a bigger problem for me if I were to tackle Kiriko. But I know not everybody agrees with me. I think Suzu is a symptom of the TP problem, a symptom of the problem, not the root of why she's so good at high elos. Because again, when you use both, it's really, really powerful, but the TP itself is the bigger culprit. The cooldown is way too low for something like that. Next hot take, streamers saying that there should be no LFG because not a lot of people used it while also wanting a streamer mode is BS. What streamer said there should be no LFG? I think LFG is a cool system to have. The only issue I didn't say I didn't want LFG. My only criticism of LFG is that it's an underused product. Not to defend Corpa, but like, when you have a company and you have resources, you generally don't allocate resources into something that doesn't do much. I mean, there's going to be some things that don't do much, but I think they've noticed and they saw traditionally that you need upkeep. You need like somebody assigned, a person or two assigned to, take care of that product, the LFG, make sure it's functioning all the time, make sure like there's somebody filtering and taking care of all of like the bad, with bad matchups, people flaming each other. There's problems they can create. And if Blizzard doesn't, I mean, I'm sure they have the money to, so it's less about people wanting it and more about, will Blizzard pay an extra person or two to kind of, take care of that product? Because I think in corporate speak, it's like everything is a product. Like custom games is a product, workshop is a product, LFG is a product, the systems is a product, everything is a product. So it kind of just hangs out there as LFG, and it's just like it's a nice thing to have, but I think it's just too underutilized. That's all. Oh, there it is. See, there's Winter. It's actually bigger than I thought. It's bigger toxicity issues. We do not want to we do want to improve the social experience. So maybe LFG walked so something else could run. Maybe a new social system could come in the future. I'm hoping people are saying clans and other things like that could be a better solution to tackle finding friends, finding groups, and everything as well. This one's interesting. Next hot take. This new patch is the absolute worst change for tanks. Tanks are so powerful now, their only job is to neutralize the other tank, because if they don't, a tank will run through a team. This ends up making it harder for tanks too, because now whose team wins is dependent upon teammates, because the only person who can duel a tank is a tank or a tank with no team. It brings up the Yeatle point. There's 10 wrong decisions and only 1 right decision as tank. I haven't heard that quote, but I can see where he's coming from. I mean, to be fair, on this new patch, I just played 3 ranked games and I won them, and it didn't seem like the tanks were marking each other. I think most of the tanks in this game have a lot of armor. So like in a lot of cases, if I'm playing Queen or Diva, I don't want to shoot the other person because of armor. Maybe if I'm Ryan, I could be swinging the other tank. Well, those are matchup by matchup. This is dependent on the matchups. So I would say, I think it's pretty linear to think that the tank's only job is to neutralize the other tanks, because different tanks do different things. If you're sitting frontline as Monkey trying to zap the Orisa or the Rhine, you're playing Monkey wrong. So I think this is oversimplifying what it means to be a tank and what your role is. There's certain matchups that change thanks to the armor change and the headshot reduction, but I think it's too linear to think this way. So this is definitely a hot take. I will say in my limited 3 games, it didn't feel that different. Their Winston was still jumping me as support, not farming my tank. Okay, hot take. The terms situational and niche are used too often to downplay how bad characters are in a majority of situations. Yes, having a character be strong on certain maps and contexts while not being strong elsewhere is fine. However, when a hero is considered good only because of strength on 1 to 3 maps, there is an issue. I mean, I use the word situational niche a lot, so I feel like this is targeting me, but like, I don't think it downplays the character. Isn't that the whole point of the definition of situational niche? I'm not downplaying it, but the definition of niche and situational is it's only good on a few maps. It does feel like it applies to Sim. Sim is better on closed environments based on her design, right? Closed capture areas, so a lot of control maps where the turrets, like if you're playing on a very wide open map where the fight moves all the time, like Push, for example, where like the robot keeps running around. So if you set up somewhere, it's like, oh shit, we gotta move elsewhere. I don't know. I don't think there's ever gonna be like, you can't have a game of heroes that everybody's a generalist and it works every situation. I think it's fine to have heroes that are stronger in very particular maps and whatnot. Some of the other heroes that are generalists probably just need to be tuned down a little bit. Generalists are heroes like Lucio, Kiriko, Tracer, Sojourn, where you can slot them in anywhere. Those are like the strong meta-defining heroes. But niche heroes are okay, and I think that's fine, to be honest with you. I think you want to just close the gap a little bit between what's too niche, 1 to 3 maps, less about 1 to 3 maps, but you can have, I think, a hero that's good on all the maps on the mode. So if we talk about Symmetra, I think she's pretty good on most control maps, majority of them, not all of them, but like the game mode itself pretty good. And then on hybrid, maybe like defense on the first capture area. And then, you know, Symmetra is one thing, but Widowmaker as well. Technically, Widowmaker is situational, better on long sightline maps, much better on Havana, Junkertown, but certainly acceptable elsewhere. And I guess for Sims specifically, we want to close that gap where she's sort of acceptable on other maps too. And I've been trying to help the Sim mains and fight for a little bit, because I think the Season 9 changes certainly didn't help Symmetra at all with the secondary fire. Like her kit is just does three different things, and arguably the best thing that Sim can do is something that people don't do, which is stay in voice comms. I think the best playstyle for Sim is actually TPing around with your team as a unit, but that requires coordinated team environments, which is why you'll see some pro players run a lot of Sim, but a solo queue Symmetra out of voice and half your team out of voice isn't going to work very well if you want to run something like that. So you're stuck playing either setup with turrets or poke with secondary fire and hope for kills. But the poke sucks because everybody has bigger HP pools. So you're stuck trying to set up yourself with the turrets. So then you just end up being niche or situational because your turret style only works on control or, you know, defense on singular areas. But it is a team game. So, I mean, you can open the niche if people decide to play along with it, but it is a team game. Healing abilities on primary and secondary fire do more harm than good. They make new support players think that heal botting is good. They make non-support players think that heal botting is good. So they get mad when their supports shoot red team instead of blue team. And they're the primary driver of healing creep because they need to be heal enough to ever be worth shooting blue team instead of red team. Supports should heal like Lucio, Zen, and Brig. Low passive healing, cooldowns, and ults. Rare take. The lack of meaningful learning tools within the game is the reason there are such stark skill differences between the ranks. All we have is a basic controls tutorial and a series of average at best and totally meaningless at worst hero info screens. There needs to be so much more than that. Not a rare take, not a hot take. I agree with this. I actually gave this feedback. I put it in my, 25 things I wish Overwatch did. Their tutorial and their onboarding experience could definitely be updated. That shit is outdated as hell. I haven't done it in a long time, but I heard it's still like you pick Soldier 76 in the training range, right? And that's it. And of course, you need a better hero info screen. Just played Marvel Rivals, another comparison. Not even just Marvel Rivals. There's a lot of games where it's like when you pick an ability, there's a little mini video player that shows you what it does. And I've always wanted that. I mean, that's secondary to me, but having an advanced number screen that's baked into the game that can draw numbers like fall off range, projectile size, and then when you patch the game, those get live updated because it's coded all in. That should be something they work on. I want that. Okay, correct take. Competitive crossplay should be implemented. Console players can perform just as well as PC players with enough play and exposure to PC lobbies. I have console friends I play QP with every day, and they can perform just fine without the aim assist. You can even toggle off crossplay if you don't want console players on your team anyway, so I see no reason why we can't comp with our friends that don't have a PC. I just hate hearing it's just QP when our randoms throw. Crossplay for console, aim assist, you say they perform fine without it, but aim assist will always cause problems. I mean, Apex has a lot of controversy whether it's on, I mean, because it is on in crossplay, but if you do it off, then I guess the onus is on the console players to deal with no aim assist. So if you want to take that handicap, sure, but then again, then you're going to start splitting the console player base, where some people who don't want to play with PC players are going to have, like, you know, separate queues, because some crossplay sweats who want to play, console sweats who want to play on PC are going to try to get into that pool, which will increase the queue times for console. So I think separating it like that will not help. It might help like the PC players, because now they get to queue with the console pool, but then there has to be new calibration as well, because I think on the high end, a lot of top console players can certainly pop off in ranked, but I do think there's a disparity in the ranking system on the lower end. Like, the distribution is definitely going to be a little different. It'd be another set of calibrations. I don't know. I don't know if I think comp crossplay should be implemented. Orisa has substantially more skill expression than people give her credit. Orisa has a lot of base value by existing, which is true, but you can substantially increase your value through higher skill cap than people give her credit for. I actually kind of agree with this. I think there's actually simpler tanks. I think Orisa has a little bit of finesse. Yeah, you get a lot of base value by existing. That part's been acknowledged in this, but hitting those godlike spears mid-air, actually kind of cool. I mean, I played a little bit of Orisa. It's pretty easy to do the brawl part, which is run in there with spin and then just hold your primary fire in their face and press cooldowns. The biggest skill expression is probably landing that skill shot, that one single skill shot, which is pretty satisfying, I will say. It's a small part of it, but I mean, not really. You do have to land the spear and then hit some primary fires to follow up, lead your shots a little bit depending on distance, and then I guess there's actually more skill expression in actually opportunists sitting there figuring out what the best decision is in that moment, because Orisa's like a hybrid hero. She sits there and pokes until there's an opportunity to go in and brawl in their face. So you have to play two styles. So like learning how to tempo between those two is pretty good skill expression as well. Plays actually pretty similarly to Ramatra. You sit there and poke with your staff until there's an opportunity to run in and start punching. Orisa's the same. Oh, hit a spear. Oh, I'm going in, spinning in, press all my cooldowns, cycle it, and all that stuff. Hot take, Lucio players are the new Moira players. They are so toxic and always look at the scoreboard and complain. They also cry when they can't get their main. Seems like you just ran into some not very friendly Lucio players. I would say this is actually, well, obviously very a general stereotype, but I think that's like anybody who mains a role. Anybody who mains a specific hero may always look at the scoreboard and complain about stuff. And if they can't get their main, people cry no matter what. Like a Genji player, if they can't get their main, they'll scoreboard Sally it. If Doomfist main, they'll spam, they'll type stuff. That's just any main. You're a Lucio player and you don't give a shit. See, there you go. You say Overwatch is very casual, yet we have a very strict lever policy for a very casual game. I think they tuned back the lever policy recently. There's two sides of the coin for the lever policy that people don't agree with, right? I think Arcade has a no lever policy, so you can pop in and out. But because quick play, you say casual game, but quick play is the most popular mode, and like quality of game matters as well, just as equally as levers. Just simply don't leave game or don't queue up if you know you have obligations, or play custom games or arcade if you feel like you have to leave or you have internet issues. We're in 2024. It feels exponentially, you're complaining about, you should be allowed to leave the game whenever, blah, blah, blah. But like there's 9 other players in the lobby who are going to have to suffer through a shit game. Like a game where like if you're winning and they have a lever, it just doesn't feel fun anymore because there's no challenge, A. And then B, the team that has that lever feels bad. And then the people who backfill feel like, I fucking hate backfilling, Quality of game matters. Backfill is no fun for a lot of players as well, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, if I don't play, I play a little bit of quick play now these days, more so than comp, and I hate backfilling. I just join in and I'm like, I mean, in some cases it just looks unwinnable. I join in and we're getting spawn camped. I'm like, oh, okay. We actually turned down the initial punishment times. The first one went away from 5 minutes to 2 minutes. Okay, see, there we go. They toned it down just a little bit. Okay, some people here are saying they do like backfill, finish the challenge. You like the challenge, but obviously I can't speak for everybody. I'm just speaking for myself. I don't like backfilling, because I like playing a match start to finish, hopefully even. I love the people who care about levers, get all the levers in their game and see how they like it. I just don't like levers, period. So I'm not on the side of the coin that's going to fight for, less punishment for leaving. I don't like leaving. I don't like levers, period. If you commit to a game, finish it if you can. It's quick. Overwatch is a fast game. Your games are done in 10 minutes. Like League of Legends or Dota, we have to sit there for 40 minutes. Okay, that's a little longer. You're only attacking or you're only defending, or control might be the longest game mode. And I think push is only 8 minutes instead of 10. Ooh, this is what I was saying earlier. Okay, a hot take I can talk about. Last one. Kiriko Suzu is a necessary evil, and it isn't too unhealthy for the game at this current time, this current moment. Yes, but also like you could tune it a little bit more, but I think it's sort of a necessary evil in some cases because some other abilities have been created to help with that matchup. If we get rid of Suzu right now from Kiriko, what changes in the meta? If we get rid of Suzu, I think tanks become way too strong. I mean, Flux is already picking people up across the map. The fact I could Suzu, Flux, a little bit of counterplay, I think it's just a little too simple for what it does, but what it does itself is a necessary evil for the game. Does that make sense? I think Junker Queen becomes unbelievable. The fact that she can also shout during it as well. Rhine Shatter goes crazy. Terra Surge, Captive Sun. I mean, other supports will start shining, so maybe there's a world where we get rid of it, but then Suzu is going to feel bad if you just don't have those traits on it. I think, I said this before, I'll say it one last time, that Swift Step is a bigger problem than Suzu because it allows Kiriko to be too powerful in the neutral. Even with Suzu's strengths, Kiriko's not even that great in low ranks, but is extremely powerful in the high ranks simply because of how powerful that TP is. You're neutral where you can take any angle, pressure any angle, +1 somebody, TP to somebody, and then combo the TP plus Suzu to save them. Then it becomes a bit more egregious. But if we cut the TP or the distance and make TP less powerful, then Suzu itself is not as great. You can get it forced out more than you think. If you nerf the Swift Step, sorry, here's another solution. If you nerf the Swift Step in a lot of cases, you can force out the Suzu a lot easier. Because a lot of times I don't have to Suzu myself because I can just use my Swift Step, which is half the cooldown. It's like 7 seconds versus a 15-second Suzu. But if you do something with the Swift Step and that escape doesn't become as a nicer option, then Suzu gets forced out easier. And then, Kiriko can fall apart a little bit more. But her survivability is a little too high. That's my take anyways. Okay, and that's it for the hot takes this week. Let me know what you guys think. Leave yours in the comments. See you next week.